Google is for old people.
What is the problem we're solving here?
That makes life very difficult.
You're wasting your time. You're doing BD where you have all these slots.
I think you're building a solid business here. In my head, I'm just asking, is it a venture backable business?
This is not really addressing the primary pain of these professionals.
How do you make money out of it long-term and at scale? That's what I'm worried.
Naveen, you're going to have a minute to pitch and tell us what you're building. Then you're going to get some feedback. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yay.
Awesome. What are you building?
I'm Naveen Kumar, founder of Truxt.ai. For a decade, I have built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses and transformed DevOps journey for Fortune 100 clients, including the likes of Apple and Sony's of the world. Something very disheartening working with them was seeing developers completely blocked for multiple days. In fact, every one of 6 development hours today is wasted on fixing things than building something new. That's what we are building at Truxt. We are building first fully autonomous software operations platform, leveraging which an enterprise can not only instantly troubleshoot issues, but can save more than 50% of their support cost. Come join us in this journey of shifting from a co-pilot for a developer to an autopilot.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I have a lot of initial thoughts. I want to start by asking, what's your background?
My background is a customer success manager in DevOps. So I have worked with multiple companies on their DevOps journey.
So this brings me to the feedback I'm going to give. You gave a very customer success pitch. I actually think that makes a whole ton of sense. And the unfortunate truth is, I think that won't work for you in early stage venture. So I'm going to give you a way to think about why didn't that work for me. You gave a sequence in that minute that was like pleasant, listening to you, I go like, that's a nice story. If I was a customer, I'd be like, this is someone I can trust and is going to care about my problems. But as a founder, you're kind of looking to agitate. It's actually the exact opposite of the customer success journey. You're not trying to coddle me. You're trying to get me to go, we need to run together that direction as fast as possible because there's money at the end of this rainbow. And I didn't feel that energy, and some of the details even, right, don't bring me to that conclusion. Even, some of the softer details in the beginning of, I don't remember how you introduce yourself, but like the first, you want to think, how do I cut to the chase even faster? What you've been trained to do in customer success is be slow, bring people with you, and like bring them along slowly. Think the opposite. Agitate somebody, surprise them, make them get up out of their seat. So that's my overall feedback on that minute. Before I ask questions or anything like that, your thoughts on that minute?
I would love to. I think I still don't understand what we're doing here. Yeah. So can you kind of hash down to me, what is the problem you're solving for?
Okay. An organization wastes 20% of their development effort building nothing.
Hold on. I'm going to pause you already. Agreed or not agreed? I think that's a truth. I think that's a truth across software, not software, etc. It's not going to help me because it's not a truth that is agitating.
Okay.
Let me give you an example of a truth that's agitating. Did you know that 20% of DevOps work is primarily about, I'm making this one up, primarily about one particular deployment pipeline that is completely optional because a legacy open source pipeline is involved in every library that's been invented since 2010. I completely made that up, by the way, so no one take that seriously. But that would be a surprising, agitating fact that you can then fight. You saying organizations waste 20% of their time, I'm like, okay, true, a big problem. I don't know how to wrestle that. So get way more specific.
Okay. If we have to upgrade a very simple example, Kubernetes from version 1.21 to 1.25, it's a big pain in every organization because not only upgrade with Kubernetes matter, there are multiple tech stacks dependent on that Kubernetes changes, and that makes life very difficult. Developers are not able to do it.
Again, sorry, pausing you again, because I think this is just feedback again for you and everyone to hear. Very good job in this new version. And then you said, and developers not able to do it. Be careful with language that isn't necessarily true. You're not not being truthful. But when you see these sentences, and I know some of this is nervousness of being on this stage. It's not an easy stage to be on. But I'm suddenly zoomed out. I'm like listening to you, and then I go, developers are able to do it. Yes. What you're saying is very challenging, and you're going to get descriptive in a moment as to why or what you're going to solve. But just be careful. And again, I know some of this is the stage, but I just want you to hear this. Be careful on that language because it zooms people out of energy with you, right? I was with you, and then you took me out. So don't say big things that are, I get your point, right? But say the version of them that's going to make me think it's solvable. Because when you say something like that, I go like, is it solvable? If they're not able to, I know it's solvable. It's solved already. Yeah.
So the real challenge is, yes, those are solvable, but it takes multiple days. And for example, in this Kubernetes conversation, what an organization does is they buy third-party support on Kubernetes. So if it's a P2, P3, P4 kind of an issue, support team is not encouraged to solve those very quickly. P0s, yes. So for P2, P3s, P4s, a development team is very much blocked depending on the support organization. They do not need to. What we have seen is using artificial intelligence, now you can...
Sorry, pausing you again. For two reasons. First, I want to address, raise your hand in the crowd if you know what a P0 is when he said P1s, P2s, P3s. 3 hands out of a bunch there. Priority 0 is like a problem that's like a bug that must be solved immediately. P1 is an important feature issue. And then 3, 4, 5. It's another CS thing. And it's not CS in engineering too. So it's more technical.
Because that's also his background is CS within an engineering context.
So you want to de-jargon a little bit, right? Because you don't know who you're talking to. In fact, I don't think honestly, I would probably guess 20% of investors will understand that language only because they've had to the first time they heard it. They've never been in an environment where someone says, we have a P0 problem. It's so funny, by the way. I've been in scenarios where someone hears that and like you see that they don't understand and they're not following at all what that means. Now, let me also say, let's not go back into the flow we're about to go to. You're taking a long time
to explain the problem. Now I want to
go zoom. Let's get to the end and then we can, let's rewind. But first tell us, what does it do?
Okay. So our platform helps developers get instant...
What does it do?
Instant resolution. Or
how?
Through generative AI.
How?
We have agents which can instantly answer your question.
Which question?
For example, how can I upgrade from Kubernetes 1.21 to 1.23?
Is that the question they would ask? They wouldn't ask, how can I upgrade? What's the challenge that they're trying to solve?
So I am facing... I'm facing this issue of, let's say, 404 error in my Kubernetes environment. Currently, if you go ahead and ask on GPT, it will give you a very detailed prescription.
You're saying, hold on. Let's do this together. You and me are going to get there. Or we're all going to get there on this stage. So if developers are facing a deployment issue or something's not upgrading their stack, there's a dependency that's going wrong. I'm going to get an error or something's going to go wrong that I don't expect. Probably even during deployment, I'll get this error. And I'm going to realize, okay, my version of some library I'm using or of Kubernetes or whatever is behind or not compatible with something else. I don't immediately need to go to GPT is why I don't like this answer. That's why I wanted to pause you. As in, I'm going to try to solve that in a multitude of ways. If I'm a very senior engineer, I might realize how to solve the problem. If I'm more junior, I might need to. But the engineer sitting there, what are you assuming they can't do that then causes you to go, this is an enterprise level big money problem?
A typical deployment system does not contain one technology only. A typical deployment system contains of multiple technology stacks. For example, Argo CD.
Wait, sorry, don't educate me. Okay. You can educate everyone in a second. I'm not bothered. It's going to take us a while to get there. So the engineer sees that they have the dependency issue.
It's difficult to figure out what is the root cause analysis.
Give me more on that. Because I'm a technical product person. So when we're talking about this, I understand everything. Except sometimes when people are talking about organization issues, I've never been in an organization large enough to go like someone can't solve something. So an engineer is looking at this, or an engineering team is looking at this. What happens next, even in the good case today?
Okay, they get an issue like why throttling is more than 37%. Okay, I will go as an engineer to an observability tool, and I'll try to figure out what is causing it. Then you will find that there are so many ingredients to make that happen. That's very difficult to figure out.
So this isn't a deployment failing. You're saying, I have a performance issue that I'm diagnosing?
So it is about DevOps. It is specifically about operations. Observability helps you monitor or observe your your deployments.
Let's zoom into the code you're building, your generative AI solution, right? When I ping it, let's pretend it's a chatbot for a second. It might not be, it might be. What is it doing? What's your prompt engineering in the back end of your pipeline telling it to do? Because I'm trying to get to just product here.
So first, there are multiple agents here.
To get to the, sure. Maybe you even have O3 access. What is it changing about the world?
What it is,
what file is it changing? What is it being
changing? It is making changes in configuration files wherever required.
There we go.
And it will provide you real-time root cause analysis just giving you a response after understanding the real-time issues.
Well, root cause analysis of what? Because didn't you recognize you have a deployment issue?
Yeah, but deployment issue can happen.
Are you saying this because it happens before the engineer even realizes the dependency issue?
Yes.
So this is, okay, so we're getting to some product here. We're there. So I might be wrong, but I'm assuming, let me try to repackage it. And it's some sort of generative AI software platform that you put into your deployment pipeline, and it's going to itself monitor or integrate with an observability tool and monitor what's going on in the pipeline and attempt to automatically diagnose, address dependency issues, compatibility issues, anything to do with configuration, which in general might be very complicated at a bigger company because your configuration deployment is going to be across different regions you're deploying to. Do you have data separated from your applications? Do you have a lot of different applications that speak to each other? Are you third-party integrated? And so this can live across your entire deployment and try to attempt to automatically deal with all these issues. And in the worst case scenario, flags the actual engineer who hopefully is senior enough to human intervene.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
10 minutes in and we did it.
We did it.
So that's a big feedback, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to understand what you're building, and Sherveen had to milk it out of you.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I felt lost. Did you feel I was lost at the beginning too?
I think, and I think for me, I think we were lost for two different reasons, right? You're coming from it from the product technical side, and you're like, tell me what you do. And for me, I'm like, what is the problem we're solving here? Even in basic terms, even though I was following the technical terminology, but it's like, what do you do? Who are you solving for? Now that I understand, now I have smart questions like, how will engineers trust your product? Which is what I know is the main thing about adoption. Who are your buying persona? Is it the engineers, or are we targeting the enterprise,
I love this framing, by the way, of like, you didn't know what questions to ask, and I didn't either, for two different reasons. She would want to ask, like, I can't quite tell who the buyer is yet, because I assume you were with me for a while. Like, I thought an engineer was piloting this generative solution for a while, and I was like, okay, hold on, how is it helping them if there's an engineer there? Yeah. Don't they know what they're doing? And we couldn't figure that out for a while. So you were trying to figure out, like, I want to know about the purchasing flow, but what exactly is going on here first? And I was going, I don't even know what the solution is doing yet to be like, okay, is this going to be proprietary? Does it need to be in the deployment pipeline, or is it an assistant or a co-pilot? And so there's a bunch of things. I like that framing.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out, right? If I might have technical questions, I might have go-to-market questions, but I'm still trying. I'm at this stage, can't even listen to you because I'm trying to position you in terms of what it is that you're doing. And now I want to also ask credibility. Why are you the one to solve it? Why right now? How are your models defensible? Now I can start, but it took us 10 minutes to get here. So I would try and think, how can you get me there faster so that I can get on this journey with you?
Can I get deeper for a second, like person to person?
Sure.
Why do you think that happened? I coach a lot of job seekers, so I like to like communication issues to me come from some deeper place. They're usually not because the person doesn't know how to communicate. It's because they're pathways that are kind of, they've not accessed yet in terms of storytelling. So we were just lost for a while, but then when I finally got it, you could tell I got it. What prevented you from telling the story the way I did from the beginning? What do you think you were trying to do in the beginning? What do you think is the difference in my motivation to get to my story versus yours to yours?
I think I was trying to put too much into that 1 minute of pitch, bringing the problem statement to what the experience is, to what I have done, to where are we.
How are you from a product perspective? How far along are you?
We have our first version out during KubeCon November last year, and we are with one specific tool, Argo CD, and we are now adding more technologies to it.
Any customers yet?
We are doing good pilots with customers.
I think one of the things that might be going on, this is me guessing, when you're early in this journey, you also might not be sure yet what's going to resonate and in what order. And I think the best thing to do in those moments is actually get so practical. And it's going to be scary as a founder, because as a founder, you don't feel like I should be like, let me describe my features to you almost like they're features, because you're like, let me describe a vision or a customer problem that is going to scale in your brain to a power law. But you're still so early. And when you should understand that when pre-seed or seed stage investors who want to invest in something like this, when they're investing, they want bets that are features. They want hypotheses about the world. They don't necessarily want engineers can't do anything 20% of the time. You can say, hey, people are blocked by this, and that was your point. But I think, again, you're so early that being like, I'm building generative AI that sits in deployment pipelines to solve configuration issues. And then you can say more about your approach and be like, well, here's how I think about the market over time and all this other stuff. But starting so simple, you're now on the same side of the table as the investor, as opposed to trying to impress them. And the challenge is when you're on the other side of the table, this is just one form of being on the other side of the table. It's hard to come to getting to an agreement. It's actually like investor and founder collaborations are about going, we can actually be on the same side. We don't have the same incentives, but we are now looking at the problem together from here.
From the same place. Because I think two words you said, it was the pipeline, data pipeline, and configuration of deployment issues. Boom, you got me there. If I would have heard those two sentences, then or phrases, I could have been able to position you. And I was like, okay, I understand we're in the flow we are. Now let's get down to business. Let's talk about your customers. Let's talk about your go-to-market. Let's talk about your traction.
And you even did in your counter positioning, right? It was hard for me to navigate because when you said if they go to ChatGPT, they're not going to get a good answer. And I was like, wait, why? Who is going to ChatGPT, right? Again, it doesn't invite me to realize the usability of your product. You're fighting demons and ghosts that I don't yet have objections about, right? I wasn't like, ChatGPT can solve this. And so you brought that into my brain instead of me coming up with the objection.
Got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Got it. Thank you.
This founder flew in this morning, right?
Yes.
For the show? Or for other
Yes.
things? I always ask because some people finally start to fly in for the feedback loop, and I have to say that is the greatest honor of the feedback loop.
You flew
Been
this
watching
morning.
for some time.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
This is last week or 2 weeks ago when I had the last episode, someone flew in from Paris, and I was just like astounded. It's awesome that this is becoming a thing. With that in mind, this thing, you're going to have a minute to pitch. What's your name?
Okay. My name is Chitty.
Say it one more time.
Chitty Ashley.
Chitty?
Yeah.
Chitty, you're going to have a minute to pitch. Tell us what you're building and some feedback. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What are you building?
All right. So I'm going to start off by saying something bold. Google is for old people. Search is changing. And I say this because 97% of Gen Z rely on social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok to find businesses and to connect with businesses. And they're relying on these platforms as their primary search engine. The problem, though, is that social media was not built for local search. And this creates a gap for millions of local businesses who are competing for your attention. This is exactly why we built Readyhubb. We're targeting the $47 billion market specifically for local beauty services. We connect local beauty professionals to clients in their city, and we've done $4.5 million worth of bookings to date and 100,000 users. Our goal is to help beauty professionals earn more doing what they love, right? No more unpredictable incomes, and help clients, right, cut down on the time that they spend to find services and book securely. Thank you.
Good job.
Very good job. I can see why she flew over. For
Yes, this is good use of your time. Fantastic. I love this space, and I think it's still so underrated. And I think, again, the realization for a lot of venture is still settling that it's a good space to be in. Everyone wants to go out market, but
Yeah, solopreneurs are really ignored, especially when it comes to just building tools for them. And that's really where we're focusing.
Yeah, I've looked into that space quite a lot, and particularly kind of a local small businesses, right? And there's a lot of challenges in that space. Can you tell us a little bit more about the solution and how you're solving this problem?
Of course. So we're two-sided, right? First thing is we built software for beauty professionals to be able to manage their business. And we really see this as our main tool for stickiness on the platform, right? So that was how we were able to bring in beauty professionals into the platform, was providing these tools that they can use to manage their business. On top of that, we've also built the marketplace, right? Because we've seen that the major pain for beauty professionals is being able to earn a predictable income, right? A lot of them are relying on social media to attract clients, and this is wildly unstable, right? And so our platform helps them to maintain some sort of predictability with what they're earning and also manage their entire business. And then for clients, you can come to our platform, search for local services, and book securely.
So if I'm a consumer and I want to look for a beautician in my area, I need to come to your website and then do a search on your website?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Specifically, we're focusing not on salons and spas, but on the solopreneur. Right? So the person who is juggling payments, marketing, accounting, customer support, we're focusing on that specific demographic. Yeah.
I guess one concern I have here is trying to recreate the marketplace, right? Like the main problem with double-sided marketplaces, on one side, I need to have all the beauty providers in my local area. And then I need also all the consumers to start using your platform. So have you thought about distribution? How can you start creating kind of the demand and supply at the same time at scale?
Of course, it's an interesting challenge for us. What's really exciting about what we've built actually is that all of the clients who have come into our platform have been directly invited by existing professionals. So the professionals are coming to our platform, they're using our software to manage their business, and then they're inviting their clients to the platform. So we see that our most active professional is inviting at least 5 clients to the platform. They're also sharing their links on social media. So they're sharing their Readyhubb booking link. That client finds them through social media, for example, books them, and then they see, oh my God, I can actually book nails and hair and all these other things. So we haven't had to spend money. We have a 0 cost of acquisition for clients, and the professionals are the ones driving the growth. And that's primarily because of the software that we've built for them.
And the software that's kind of booking, billing,
everything, booking, billing, customization of your booking site. So they're able to still manage and have their own personal brand, right? And have their own website. But we then also have this marketplace. So they get both sides. They get the personalization that comes with managing your own business. But then we also have the marketplace aspect for the clients.
And who do you define as your main competitors?
Yeah, so our main competitors are twofold. We have big competitors that are specifically focused on salons and spas. So think of Fresha, maybe Square, and so on. They're focused on the salon and spa industry, and I believe that industry is actually declining. And I say that because beauty professionals they now have their own personal brand, right? Clients are coming to them already on social media, right? And so they don't actually need to split commissions with salons. They're moving away from the salon structure. And that's why we've seen a 30% increase in salon suites, right? So salon suites are like these rooms that beauty professionals are now booking where they can manage and provide the service the way that they want to. So no one is building for the solopreneur. Right now, they're building for the salons and spas. Our other set of competitors are the Acuity Schedulings, right? Or the Gloss Genius. They're specifically focused on building scheduling software, right? Or building the back office. The issue, though, is that this is not really addressing the primary pain of these professionals, right? Because if I'm a solo business owner, my primary concern is getting people through the door. And if I'm standing up all day as a hairstylist, how do I have time to then market my business and bring more people in tomorrow? I have to be focused on the client that's in my chair. And so that's what we're solving is we're helping you earn a stable income, and it's not beholden. You're not beholden to the algorithms, the social media, the popularity game, you having to constantly post to keep up.
I have so many thoughts. It's so compelling. And then I got confused, and the ways I'm confused are not bad reasons. It's not like I'm confused. It's mostly about the market, your approach as a founder, again, not as you as a person, like what challenges are ahead, some of the questions that Mirit is asking. And it comes to, first let me ask a question that will clarify a bunch of things that are going on in my head.
Of course.
You said 4 million in bookings.
Yes.
How did you get those 4 million? It's mostly these clients being invited to the platform, therefore you're processing?
Yes.
And so what are you taking as the processing fee?
So we take a 20% take rate on the bookings that we bring to professionals.
Oh, okay. So it's attribution based.
Yes, exactly. So, there's 2 bookings that we have on our platform. The ones that professionals bring for themselves, right? They have our scheduling software. And so clients come and book them. And then we have the bookings that we are bringing you directly through the marketplace. Another aspect of our business model is a subscription service for professionals. So we do have our free plan, and we have the free version because we realize that it creates the stickiness, right? So professionals are able to use the platform, but then because they're inviting users, it pays off for us, but they can upgrade for more features. So things like consent
forms. Can they buy one that doesn't put the user in the marketplace?
No. So to participate on our platform, you by default will be on the marketplace. Money? No. So we've been bootstrapped to date.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a significant amount of this take on the 4 million, or were you not charging for most of that 4 million time?
We just specifically started charging in October of last year.
So how much is your current revenue?
Our current revenue since October is $72,000 in revenue.
In revenue? In net revenue to you?
Yes, that's for us.
Cool. Okay. That sorted a lot for me.
Yeah.
Most of, I think, where I want to go with this is a mixture of like an investor / founder or / an investor who cares about like you growing. I like this problem. And, so let me just I don't know how to organize these thoughts I have. So I've been thinking about where to begin. So a couple different things are happening for me. It starts with this idea you're building both a SaaS platform and a marketplace.
Of course.
That by itself, both of them are so challenging. Then it's the notion that you have this attribution problem where you're charging people for people that they bring to your platform while you're proliferating them to other service providers, which can eventually be seen as a threat to their business. And it goes this idea of do I want to bring a platform that does courses like a Maven that then takes the student and spits it out to other courses, has this challenge of, am I getting enough value? Do I want to find another solution that I just can pay a SaaS fee for?
So we're actually addressing that. Sorry to cut you off. We're addressing that in a specific way. The clients that you bring yourself, we don't take a commission on that booking.
But they get proliferated to other they get distributed. So it's a degree of the problem. I get your answer, but it just adds complexity because you can even have to message this to your providers. Then I like, by the way, the salon industry dying to the providers who are, the very first pitch on the feedback loop officially, because there was episode 0, was Laura, who's building Candid. Okay. Which is a marketplace for tattoo artists.
Oh, nice.
And part of her whole thing was tattoo artists have these Instagram accounts that are getting millions of followers, and that's how some of them just have all their business. And it was this death of Big Tattoo, which was, I love that she also termed it Big Tattoo. It was such a compelling investor story. So I love that. Then there's the notion of, are they coming for the SaaS or are they coming for the marketplace?
Yeah.
Then there's the notion of, as they scale, they're going to have mostly recurring business that puts even more pressure on the fact that you're bringing their clients to others. And so you have to have goodwill only to keep them on, because these other solutions do exist for booking and payments, on the fringe. I wonder what it is that's making this work. All of these are existing problems, and all of them are contributing to why it works. The reason I wonder is because in my head, I'm going, if the three of us could just spend 4 hours, I wonder if we could convince you to just do one of it and triple down.
Yeah.
The good news for your combo approach, and by the way, when I say this stuff, founders are wrong or investors are wrong or people are wrong all the time about what approach to take. So your approach might be the right approach, you might be right already. But the good news about all of it working right now is it's a signal that again, a lot of these might be good problems to play in. I worry though, getting from 4 mil in bookings to 40 mil, and then what your take rate on that is going to be, what business models your providers will,
be an issue. Yeah.
And you have enough evidence clearly that you can get these providers on, you can convince them to bring an audience that's giving you net revenue off of their existing. So you've done so many great things. So now I'm there's a jockey here, who's incredible already. Can the horse be optimized? Because there's this thing that I go, I wonder if there's stuff you're going to just slam into a wall that has nothing to do with your ability, but the scalability of the business model.
Right.
That's just my wall. I have specific questions. Let me first offer either of you to either respond to that or add on top of that, because I haven't figured out which question I want to ask first.
I think building a double-sided marketplace is going to be hard to scale to a venture scale. And I think one of the things we don't talk about when we're talking to a VC investor, but a lot of the time I talk to people about what type of funding do we need for this business? And do we need a venture funding or other types of funding? Because venture funding comes with particular type of expectations and incentives and timeline that might not necessarily, I think you're building a solid business here. In my head, I'm just asking, is it a venture backable business? Because another area I'm worried about with these professionals is discovery versus usage. If I am a great solopreneur. Hopefully I'll come as a consumer and that's it. I found you once, you'll be mine twice a week for the next. So my need for, as long as you are good, my need for discovery will actually go down. And it's just my need for running and operating your
you have
tool.
Double-sided churn. That's so interesting.
Right. Yeah.
But the interesting thing that I've seen on this topic, so you do have in the beauty industry, of course, and it's similar to how Thumbtack, they have cleaners who come and then they're recurring. What we see for beauty services is that 30% of your bookings end up being canceled, especially last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with a situation where you've predicted a certain income and then you're left at the end of the month with a shortfall, right? The great thing about our platform is that we're helping you make up, even though you might have your recurring clients, you still have that unpredictability. And again, solopreneurs, you still have to pay the rent. You still have to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
And so even though you're using our back office, you're also relying on that marketplace to help you continue to have a stable income so it's both sided. We work amazingly for beginners who are up and coming, who maybe don't have clientele. We work very well as well for seasoned professionals who want to ensure that they have stability of their income. So it's
utilization. Just so you know, I've talked to a bunch of people who build in two-sided marketplaces where utilization rate is a value prop they try to offer providers. Providers don't understand it. I mean, even at the high cost, I led product at a company called TopTal, freelance marketplace for developers and designers. Mm-hmm. It's actually bigger than WeWork by revenue. Than Upwork. And WeWork by revenue. So it's like one of the more significant ones, all the way down to smaller SMBs. Eventually, because you have to convince a lot of providers. When you can do it, you can convince them. In general, providers, even on an Upwork type marketplace, et cetera, they will never be convinced about utilization rate. You go you're wasting your time. You're doing BD where you have all these slots, but they still will have a separation from giving you their money for that. A realization I had, who was here 2 weeks ago, the founder at the end was kind of defensive, even though I liked her idea. What was her name? The subscription of this version? Yes? No one remembers her name, though? You guys should meet. Are you flying out soon?
No, I'm here.
So I will, Amina will introduce you to this founder. It's this exact idea. She has SaaS.
Yeah.
She wants to solve this exact problem. Maybe not solo. I mean, it was for, I think, solo operators in general, but she didn't use that language as much, except she's doing unlimited subscription. And it might, I don't know, as someone who, I would use the service I told her for like a barber because I get this and this handled. But she might be targeting a different sub-portion of beauty.
Yeah.
And so that gets at the utilization thing. But her thing with the subscription, unlimited subscription, was also for the consumer, there's an interoperability. I can just like pay the rate and do it as many times as I want with any provider.
Yeah.
And so the value prop to consumer, they won't leave your marketplace. So providers have to stay in that case. You are farther along, I think, than she is. So like kudos again, like I'm not saying this in a bad way. I don't think you have that same thing. So I'm trying to find your version of that thing.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that we have this like, again.
And I think at some point, these solopreneurs, it will be like a no-brainer for them to stay with you, right? Because it's like, oh, only for what you bring me, I give you 20%. 20% of something is better than zero.
For the first booking. Yeah.
And then maybe I'll pay you some SaaS for you to run my operations. But how do you make money out of it long-term and at scale? That's what I'm worried. I think you're onto something here.
Yeah.
It's just the scalability of it is what I'm missing.
Yeah, makes sense.
This was super compelling. We went over time.
And you're awesome.
You are a great communicator, great answers to questions as well. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate the feedback.
Absolutely.
Solopreneurs are like, it's so dispersed, it's so fragmented. And I think Brian from Collide said it here when there's a reason why investors don't like the tail end of SMBs. It's because they're hard to scale.
So let's do takeaways.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first? Or
Yes, you go first.
So I think the fascinating part here in a lot of these cases was the packaging of all of it. How you sequence the story, where we got lost, where we need to ask clarifying questions, even for these strong pitches. The call to action is to think, how do you give me enough context to make me dangerous ASAP, and then lead me, therefore, to a reasonable sequence of conclusions. And I think where people get it wrong sometimes, and even strong pitches can get this wrong, is you're not playing the role of somebody else adequately enough. You have to realize you're building somebody up, and you have to realize the person you're building up doesn't want a random fact to interrupt. It's almost like it's a weird version of Jenga where your new information that might be positive, because I wanted it earlier or other things, it comes in and smacks. Yeah. And again, it could have been part of the story, but it needs to be sequenced properly. Instead, it becomes interruptive.
I love it.
And I want, founders, it's hard to think about that, and maybe it just requires some practice and shows like this.
Yeah.
But it's the unintentional trap of a good fact poorly timed.
I love it.
Yeah.
Everything in life is about information being delivered to you at the right time.
Yeah.
I think my biggest takeaway takes me to where we started, right? We said at early stage investing, it's like a hiring decision, right? And I think my biggest takeaway is that no one started, hi, my name is Mirit and I am a biotech scientist. And then just a sentence to give me credibility. Because as they were talking about this amazing thing that they're building, all I could think of is like, why are you building this? Why should I trust you in building this? So I think there was something around bringing your founder. You don't have much to show for you apart from the 4 million. That was a different one. You don't have much to show for you, but a vision and an idea and something you're working really hard on. Just give me that credibility around why you specifically. So just say who you are, particularly for the type of problems we heard tonight that were technical or deep or requires specific skills, then I want to hear that you are a microbiotic engineer or scientist, so that as I'm listening to you, I'm like, okay, she knows what she's doing. I can trust her, and I can validate that later, but I need it as a hook at the start.
Well, I'll say you kind of clarified this at the end. The only thing that I would say on top of that is sometimes it's not relevant. And so there are certain people where, like, if they said, I am this and here's my background, or wasted those words, they said those are wasted words. Yeah. In this case, somehow we had 6 founders that I think all should have used it.
It was all unique, exactly.
And sometimes and sometimes the judges will disagree with me. It sounds like you agree. I'll say for some people, don't bring you a lot into your minute pitch. You can do it later because I don't say you're not relevant, but it's not the innovation happening. But when it matters, like in these cases, it's brutal they didn't bring it up.
Yes. They are all very, very highly credible.
Even the customer success person where I would have gone, he's the least, because he's done customer success in DevOps, he said, but still he's not an engineer. Still, he has so much context from being customer success in that even he, would have benefited from that. And he did, I think.
But I wonder if there is a founder that don't need to mention what they're doing, will I get excited enough about what they're building?
I think so. Let me give you an example.
Give me an example.
If I'm building a social app and my innovation is some sort of virality mechanism, you do not care that before this I was a data scientist at a fintech startup doing financial modeling. Now, you might learn about that fact and go, this person is technical, that's interesting because I want to know the skills of the founding team. But you might be okay with that fact coming later.
Okay, but maybe they'll give me another fact that gives me credibility.
Yeah, credibility, to your point.
Something around credibility.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it's either to your market, so she had 4 million, or it could be the innovation is so visceral, that's actually a form of credibility. So if I gave you a virality mechanism that's never been done before, let's pretend, for example, Facebook poking was in a new app and it was universally sold as that makes sense that it's going to go viral. Yeah. The solution being credible can also be a proxy for this.
Interesting.
Yeah. This has been a fantastic episode, Marie. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights with all these founders. Also, shout out to all the founders. It is not easy to get on the stage and pitch for a minute and get this feedback. So shout out to all of you.